Erica for years. Now, allegedly, she was with Erica when Mikey and Elizabeth called. My question is why?
Basketball since I was 5, super tomboy, didn't like dresses. Everyone thought I was a little boy because I wore Jordan and all these different types of athletic.
Erika Kirk has always been calm under pressure, polished, controlled, carefully scripted. But this time, people are saying something feels different. Because when Candace Owens hinted she had footage connected to Erika's past, the internet didn't just react, it exploded. Old tweets resurfaced, clips were reposted, timeline inconsistencies started trending. And suddenly, the woman who built her reputation on moral clarity is facing the one thing she never wanted: questions. Not from critics, from her own supporters. For years, Erika maintained that her life before marriage was simple. Clean, nothing dramatic, nothing hidden. But now, past social media references, long-standing friendships, and resurfaced commentary are being re-examined under a much harsher light. Is it political warfare? Is it personal revenge? Or is it just the internet doing what it does best, digging up history and demanding explanations? One thing is certain: when someone says they have footage, silence stops working. And right now, Erika isn't saying much at all. Erika Kirk didn't just step into the spotlight, she engineered it. From the very beginning, her image was precise, intentional, clean. She wasn't just a public figure, she was a transformation story. The devoted wife, the woman who left her old life behind, the voice of moral certainty. And she repeated one thing consistently: there was nothing dramatic before Charlie. No serious relationships, no complicated past, no hidden chapter. But here's where the internet started raising eyebrows. Because when you build your brand on nothing to hide, even small inconsistencies feel loud. So old social posts began resurfacing, not scandalous on their own, but interesting. References that didn't match the narrative, photos with people who weren't publicly acknowledged, captions that didn't align with later interviews. Individually, harmless. Together, they created friction, and friction online spreads fast. Then came the bigger question: why was there such strong insistence on a spotless timeline? People don't usually clarify what nobody is asking about, unless they know someone eventually will. That's when critics began focusing not on identity, but on pattern. A 15-year friendship that predated her public reinvention. Frequent collaborations, private proximity, and the night that changed everything, a night where her own statement about where she was is now being scrutinized. See, to be clear, there is no confirmed wrongdoing, but public trust doesn't collapse only because of proof. It collapses when narratives don't line up. And right now, the timeline isn't lining up for a lot of people. Supporters are waiting for clarity, critics are waiting for confirmation, and Candace Owens is waiting with something she claims is bigger than screenshots. The most powerful move in media isn't always the reveal. Sometimes it's the hint, and the hint alone has already shifted the conversation. Because when your reputation is built on certainty, doubt is the most dangerous opponent of all. At first, it was just background noise. A few posts, a few comments. A few people asking, "Wait, what?" But then the timestamps started circulating. And once the internet locks onto a timestamp, it doesn't let go. The night in question had already been emotionally charged. It was a defining moment, a moment Erika had publicly described in detail. She said she was at the hospital. She said she was with her mother. She described it as chaotic, devastating, personal. But now, commentary channels are replaying her exact words, side by side with resurfaced content from that same time period. Not proof of wrongdoing, but proof of overlap. Overlap that doesn't neatly fit into the story as originally told. And that's when the tone online shifted. Because this stopped being about identity speculation. It became about narrative consistency. And narrative consistency is everything when your platform is built on trust. Supporters began defending her fiercely. People are reaching. This is political. This is harassment. But critics weren't focusing on labels. They were focusing on sequence. Who was present? Who was contacted? Who was mentioned publicly? And who wasn't? Then, one detail started circulating heavily. A longtime friend, someone who had been in Erika's life for over a decade, allegedly being present that night. Not confirmed, not officially addressed, but repeatedly mentioned. And here's where it gets strategic. In media warfare, you don't always attack directly. Sometimes you just keep asking one simple question. If there's nothing to hide, why not clarify? And that question alone creates pressure. Because silence in politics can mean many things: dignity, strategy, legal caution. But online, silence gets interpreted as guilt. And right now, the silence is being amplified. Clips of old speeches are being reposted. Statements about her past are being reanalyzed. Old interviews are being cut into short viral segments. The internet isn't accusing, it's comparing. And comparison is powerful. Then Candace's comments added fuel, not a full reveal, not actual footage released, just enough to imply there's more. And implication is more dangerous than exposure, because exposure can be debated. Implication lingers. It lets the audience fill in the blanks. It turns viewers into investigators. It transforms supporters into skeptics. And it makes critics louder. The real shift happened when this stopped being a fringe discussion. When mainstream commentary accounts started covering it. When reaction channels began titling their videos with words like, explained, breakdown, timeline doesn't match, questions that need answers. That's when reputational pressure becomes real. Not because something has been proven, but because something feels unresolved. And unresolved stories are the most viral stories of all. Meanwhile, Erika has not directly addressed the growing speculation. No long statement, no detailed breakdown, no timeline clarification, just distance. And distance creates narrative space. Space that gets filled, fast. The longer it stays unaddressed, the more theories form. Was it a misunderstanding? Was it misremembered timing? Was it emotional confusion during a crisis? Or was there something deliberately left out? Right now, no one has hard confirmation of wrongdoing. But that's not what's driving engagement. What's driving engagement is tension. Tension between her public persona, her past statements, and the resurfaced fragments that don't perfectly align. And in today's media environment, tension is currency. One thing is clear. This is no longer about who she may or may not have dated. It's about control of the narrative. Because when someone else controls the story about you, even partially, you're already on defense. And defense never looks powerful. It looks reactive. And that's the perception battle unfolding right now. Erika built her reputation on certainty, but certainty is fragile. And once the audience senses cracks, even small ones, the questions don't stop. They multiply. The only thing more powerful than a scandal is the possibility of one. And until there's clarity, the speculation machine isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. Erika Kirk built her entire public identity on control. Control of her image, control of her past, control of the narrative. For years, Erika stood confidently in front of audiences and spoke with certainty. There was no hesitation when she talked about her life before Charlie. No dramatic backstory, no messy chapters, just clarity. But right now, clarity is the one thing missing, because Candace Owens didn't drop a full exposé. She didn't release a documentary. She didn't even upload the so-called footage. She did something far more dangerous. She hinted. And when Candace hints at something, the internet doesn't ignore it. It investigates. Now, Erika isn't facing one critic. She's facing thousands of amateur detectives replaying old interviews, comparing timestamps, screenshotting posts from 2017, and analyzing every public statement she's ever made. And the most powerful part? Candace hasn't shown anything yet. She's just let the possibility hang in the air. That's strategic, because once footage drops, it can be dissected, debated, explained, or contextualized. But when it's still in the vault, it becomes imagination. and imagination is always louder than reality. Right now, the pressure on Erika isn't coming from proof. It's coming from questions. Questions that won't go away. Why did she describe that night the way she did? Why are certain long-term relationships resurfacing now? Why hasn't she directly addressed the timeline inconsistencies people are pointing out? Notice what's happening here. This isn't about labels anymore. This isn't about identity speculation. It's about narrative alignment. Because Erika didn't just build a platform, she built a transformation story. And transformation stories only work if the before and after are clear. When pieces from the before start surfacing and they don't perfectly align with the version she presented publicly, people don't just get curious, they get suspicious. Not because there's confirmed wrongdoing, but because the story feels incomplete. Candace understands this dynamic. She understands that doubt spreads faster than accusations. So instead of attacking directly, she positions herself as the one asking questions. If there's nothing to hide, that sentence alone is powerful. Because it shifts the burden. It puts Erika in a position where silence looks strategic, but also risky. If Erika responds aggressively, she looks defensive. If she ignores it, she looks evasive. If she gives a partial explanation, it invites deeper scrutiny. It's a reputational trap. And right now, Erika is standing in the middle of it. The internet has moved beyond gossip. Now it's about credibility. Supporters are defending her, but even some of them are asking for clarity. That's the shift. When your base starts saying, "Just explain it," instead of "This is nonsense," you know the pressure is real. Meanwhile, Candace remains calm, calculated, measured. She hasn't overplayed her hand. She hasn't made explosive claims. She's simply implied that there's more. And in the world of online influence, implication is fuel. The longer the footage remains unseen, the more powerful it becomes. Because every day without clarification strengthens the narrative that something is being avoided. So Erika has always been composed in interviews, but now people are watching her expressions differently. Analyzing tone, studying body language, clipping moments that look tense. That's how fast perception shifts. It doesn't require proof. It requires momentum. And momentum is building. The most dangerous part for Erika isn't what's already public. It's what might come next. Because once a narrative begins to form online, it doesn't wait for official statements. It grows, it mutates, it spreads into reaction videos, commentary threads, live stream debates. And even if nothing illegal is ever proven, reputational damage can still occur. That's the reality of modern media warfare. And make no mistake, this feels like warfare. Two strong personalities, two large audiences, two competing narratives. Candace positioned as the exposer. Erika positioned as the one under scrutiny. Whether that framing is fair or not is almost irrelevant now, because the internet has already picked sides. And when the audience splits, the pressure intensifies. The biggest question right now isn't about sexuality. It isn't about rumor. It isn't about gossip. It's about control. Has Erika lost control of her own story? Because once someone else starts telling your story louder than you are, you're already on defense. And defense doesn't feel powerful. It feels reactive. Right now, Erika's silence is louder than any statement she's made in the past. And Candace knows it. The upload button hasn't been pressed, but the countdown energy is there. And the longer this drags out, without direct clarification, the more the narrative solidifies. In the world of public image, so perception doesn't wait for truth. It waits for response. And everyone is watching to see if Erika gives one. For years, Erika Kirk controlled the room. When she spoke, people listened. When she clarified something, it stuck. When critics came after her, she dismantled them calmly. But this time, the room doesn't feel controlled. It feels crowded. Because now the narrative isn't being shaped by Erika. It's being shaped around her. And that's the real shift. Candace Owens didn't just spark a controversy. She changed the power dynamic. Before this, Erika operated from authority. Now she's operating from defense. And defense changes body language. It changes tone. It changes pacing. People are rewatching her recent appearances with a different lens. Was that hesitation? Was that deflection? Was that frustration? In reality, it could mean nothing, but perception has already shifted, and perception is everything. Candace has positioned herself carefully, not reckless, not loud, not chaotic, measured, strategic. Every time she mentions footage, she doesn't shout. She pauses, and pauses are powerful because they let the audience fill in the gaps. Right now, the internet isn't asking, "Did something illegal happen?" The internet is asking, "Why does this feel unfinished?" That's more dangerous, because unfinished stories create tension, and tension creates virality. Meanwhile, Erika's supporters are trying to hold the line. This is political. This is character assassination. This is narrative manipulation. And maybe it is. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When a story sticks, it's rarely because of proof. It's because it feels possible. And that's the pressure Erika is facing. Not confirmed evidence, but plausibility. The resurfaced posts, the long-standing friendship, the timeline overlap. None of it proves wrongdoing, but together it creates friction, and friction spreads. Now there's another shift happening. Neutral observers, people who weren't invested before, are tuning in. Not because they care about drama, but because they sense conflict. And conflict drives attention. Candace knows this. She's not rushing the reveal. She's letting the anticipation grow. Because once footage drops, if it drops, the conversation changes. Right now, she controls the suspense, and suspense is power. Erika's problem isn't that something has been proven. Her problem is that the conversation isn't going away. Every day without direct clarification, reaction videos multiply. Clips resurface. Comment sections expand. Silence can be strategic, but prolonged silence becomes narrative oxygen, and narrative oxygen feeds speculation. There's also something psychological happening. When someone builds their brand on moral clarity, the standard applied to them becomes higher, not average. Higher. If you present yourself as transparent, people expect transparency. If you position yourself as principled, people expect consistency. And when even small inconsistencies appear, the reaction feels disproportionate. But it isn't. It's expectation backlash. Right now, Erika isn't fighting proof. She's fighting doubt. And doubt spreads quietly. It doesn't need a headline. It doesn't need a court document. It doesn't need a viral clip. It just needs repetition. Candace repeating, "I have more." Commentators repeating, "The timeline doesn't align." Viewers repeating, "Why hasn't she addressed this directly?" That repetition builds perception, and perception hardens fast. Here's the deeper tension. If Candace releases nothing substantial, this could fade. But if she releases even something ambiguous, something open to interpretation, the internet will amplify it 100 times over. That's the risk, not certainty, ambiguity. Ambiguity is viral fuel. Right now, Erika stands at a crossroads. Option 1. Ignore it completely, let it burn out. Option 2. Address it directly, risk giving it more oxygen. Option 3. Release her own narrative. Control the framing before someone else does. But every option carries risk, and risk is visible. People are watching her more closely now, every post, every appearance, every sentence. Because once a narrative shifts, the audience stops consuming casually. They start consuming critically, and critical audiences are harder to satisfy. The most telling part? This has stopped being about labels. It's about trust. If supporters feel even slightly misled, not criminally, just narratively, that's enough to shake loyalty. Candace understands leverage. She doesn't need to win legally. She needs to win perceptually. And right now, perceptually, she's holding the suspense. Erika may still hold the facts, but Candace holds the anticipation. And anticipation drives engagement. The longer this tension stretches, the more dramatic the eventual outcome becomes. Because now, it's not just about what's true. It's about who controls the story. And right now, the story doesn't belong to Erika, it belongs to the countdown. It's 8:42 p.m. Candace posts 3 words. Ready when you are. No context, no explanation, just that. Within minutes, timelines explode. Screenshots flood X. Reaction channels go live. Comment sections move faster than anyone can read. Everyone assumes the same thing. The footage is coming. And somewhere behind closed doors, Erika Kirk knows exactly what that sentence means. Because this was never about one tweet. It was never about one resurfaced post. It was about leverage. For weeks now, Candace has held the narrative in suspense. Not proof, not confirmation. Suspense. And suspense is power. Right now, Erika's team is facing the most dangerous clock in modern media. The anticipation clock. Because once something drops online, you can respond to it. But while it's still pending, you're trapped in uncertainty. Does she preempt it? Does she address it before it's released? Does she gamble that it's nothing significant? Every option carries risk. If Candace uploads and it's substantial, the narrative explodes. If Candace uploads and it's ambiguous, the internet still dissects it frame by frame. If Candace doesn't upload at all, the mystery lingers, and mystery has a longer shelf life than scandal. Meanwhile, supporters are demanding clarity, not from Candace, from Erika. They're asking for a full timeline breakdown, a clear explanation, a direct response, because silence at this stage feels like strategy, and strategy feels calculated, and calculated feels suspicious, even if it isn't. That's the trap of perception. Erika built her reputation on certainty. Now the public sees hesitation. Doubt whether that hesitation is real or imagined doesn't matter. What matters is that it feels different. The biggest shift? This isn't just a rivalry anymore. It's a narrative battle. Candace positioned as the exposer. Erika positioned as the one under scrutiny. And in online warfare, the audience doesn't wait for truth. They wait for drama. The countdown energy intensifies. Live streams begin speculating. Commentators predict the drop. People start archiving everything. Because once something viral hits, it hits fast. And no one wants to miss it. But here's the twist. The power isn't in the upload. It's in the delay. Candace hasn't pressed the button. Not yet. And that restraint is strategic. Because as long as she holds the possibility, she holds attention. And attention is currency. Erika, on the other hand, is facing something harder than accusation. She's facing doubt. Doubt in the timeline. Doubt in the consistency. Doubt in the narrative control she once had. Nothing illegal has been proven. Nothing definitive has been released. But reputational pressure doesn't wait for proof. It builds in the gaps. Right now, the gap is wide. The longer it stays open, the more dangerous it becomes. Because public trust isn't shattered in one explosive moment. It erodes slowly, question by question, clip by clip, pause by pause. Candace may never upload anything groundbreaking. Or she might. But the real damage, or vindication, will depend on response. And response is coming, one way or another. Because in today's media climate, silence never lasts forever. Someone eventually speaks. Someone eventually posts. Someone eventually hits upload. So the only question left is, who moves first? And when they do, the narrative resets or collapses. So now the real question isn't whether something happened. It's who controls the story next. Does Candace actually press upload? Or was the real move the suspense itself? And more importantly, should Erika break her silence? Because in today's world, perception moves faster than proof. If you were in her position, would you respond immediately or stay silent and let it burn out? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is this strategic media warfare? Or is this the beginning of something much bigger? And if that footage does get released, do you think it changes everything or nothing at all? Make sure you subscribe, because if that upload button gets pressed, you already know this story isn't ending quietly.